Hello and welcome to Hump Hangouts, episode 494 on 1st of May. I'm currently in Vienna. Weather is pretty warm, almost summer here, like quite happy about that. Had a pretty nice weekend and it's also public holiday here, so quite happy about that as well. Adam is again like running in the mountains somewhere, and we also got Bradley on. So how are you doing today?
Good, man. I'm good. It looks like it's saying private, so I'm gonna have to refresh it. I'm good, man. I'm here. It's warm here as well. I'm back in Virginia, back on top of the mountain that I've been staying at while I'm getting this property developed, and it's been like super hot the last few days. Yesterday it rained all day, but it's been super hot. It's 85 degrees outside right now. As soon as I get done with Hump Day Hangouts, I'm going outside, get out of this damn tuna can, and go outside and get some sun. It's crazy because Sunday I went out and it was like 85 degrees, and I spent the whole day outside in the sun on top of a mountain, not thinking about how my white ass skin has not seen the sun at that intensity level for many months. And I got sunburned so bad on Sunday that I was like sick all day Monday. I still worked, but I was off, like it felt sick. I don't know if you all had too much sun to where you feel sick before, but
Yeah,
that's what I did. It was awful on Sunday. So I'm going to kind of temper that down a little bit. But it's good that it's warm out. Get to go outside and enjoy it. I'm looking forward to it.
I feel you. Yeah, like I have a bit of a sunburn as well, but like nothing too serious or something like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I kept it easy. Cool. What else? We also had like a couple of things regarding DHA from what I remember. You
Correct.
want to talk about that quickly?
Yeah, we started the DHA, what I call the phase one program with the small group coaching. We're goal was to hit 10 people. We accepted 11. So we've got 11 in the group. We started that on Monday. So the accountability meetings are every Monday, and then we do a daily office hours meeting where I'm available for an hour every day to answer questions, provide support, etc. So that's been going since Monday. I'm really excited about it because finally get to bring people along this uh, ride for creating consistent, steady stream of leads into your agency, that kind of stuff. And so it's really interesting getting to work through some of these industry selections from some of our members, which I won't reveal, but just doing some of the right now, week one is selecting the industry and also setting up the email accounts once the industry's been identified. And so it's really interesting to go through the process of analyzing the industry to determine if it's viable for this type of a program. And been looking at keyword research and competition research, trends, data, et cetera, for each one of these industries that people have asked me to review for them. And so that's kind of cool. It's fun just going through and seeing it and looking at opportunity. Some of them seem to be really, really good and others not as much, but whatever. That's kind of the whole process. So it's fun. I enjoy it. I like this kind of smaller group coaching because I can interact more with people and that kind of stuff. So this is the first version of it. As soon as we get done with phase one, we're going to go right into phase two for any of the members that want to go into phase two, but we're probably going to also redo phase one again. But that time it'll be a little bit more polished and everything else. So very quickly about that, guys, just to be clear, because I understand a lot of people still don't understand what the DHA program is for. It's a directory hybrid agency. It's using a directory as an outreach method to start generating leads, also, but kind of really build your agency around the directory so that you can use clients' money to help build your own assets on their behalf. But it helps to keep you in control. And it's called the hybrid agency because it's a combination of lead generation and retainer-based SEO services. There's actually a question to the end today's questions that I'm going to be answering, which will explain that a little bit further. But something that we're going to
Perfect.
do, Adam's out of town right now, but he will be back next week, and we're going to get this planned right away. So probably within the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks at the most, we're going to have a DHA 3-day workshop, which is going to be like where people can join the 3-day workshop, and we'll meet for an hour a day for 3 days, and I will show you, I'll give you some training, help you to get like walk through the process of identifying an industry that you're going to select to then build a directory around and start targeting for cold email. The 3-day light or the 3-day workshop, so DHA light or whatever we call it, the 3-day workshop is going to be basically identifying and selecting an industry, then creating the brand, which you can build a directory on later or whatever, and then, buying the domains for that. Day two is going to be for setting up the email accounts and the warm up and getting them into the email app, which will do the warming and everything else. Get that done. Number two. And then number three, day three is keyword and location competition research so that you can identify which areas to target first. And that's it. That 3-day workshop will give people enough to be able to go out and start prospecting for their own specific DHH agency. And that, basically the point here is to get people starting to think about that, how to change their own current business to kind of fit that model, which is a much better model, in my opinion. And also so that you can start building up your outreach process, because that is what fuels this whole thing, is having a steady stream of inbound leads. And it's done 100% through cold email. And it's very, very valuable. And so I'm going to be doing a 3-day workshop, like I said, sometime next 2 to 3 weeks. And it'll be very inexpensive. But I would encourage you guys to check it out, because you'll get enough information to be able to start generating leads for your agency. And then one last thing is I also use an appointment setting company for my white label agency. And that company's name is called Hyperkey. And Attaché, the gentleman that runs that, they're doing phenomenally well for my white label agency, booking sales calls for semantic links. Right now, like next week, I've got 9 sales calls booked. I had 7 sales calls this week, 6 last week, and 6 for the previous 3 or 4 weeks in a row. So he's crushing it. And so I actually had a meeting with him today. We have a monthly meeting, first Wednesday of every month. And so I had a meeting with him today, and he wants to come address you guys for Hump Day Hangouts and talk about cold email for generating leads for your local agencies. And so I just tagged him and Attaché and Adam together in an email, or connected them in an email, and we're going to get that set up. So probably maybe a month from now or so on a Hump Day Hangout, we're going to bring Attaché on to talk about cold email strategy for generating leads for your own local agency. So we're going to be really hitting the lead generation stuff hard, guys, for bringing 8 leads into your own agency over the next few weeks, because it's that critical. If you're struggling with revenue, start booking more sales calls, because that's how you're going to generate more revenue. So we're going to really kind of push on that for the next few weeks. So just wanted to give everyone the heads up.
Nice. Good stuff. Also, if you're not subscribed to the mastermind, make sure you actually go to mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Get your quarterly offer in at the moment. Still absolutely amazing deal, in my opinion. And yeah, make sure you are on there, because that's where the real action happens. Also, it's where you get the first tips on everything on here. And yeah, so don't miss out on that.
Sweet. Well, like and subscribe and all that jazz. And besides that, do we have anything else?
I think we're good. As long as
Okay,
you're
sweet.
subscribed and hit the like button on on this video as well, I think we're good and can get started right with the questions.
All right. First, I gotta give a shout out to Cecilia and David and Jim Wells. What's up, jerks? I love it when he does that all the time. It's so funny. And Craig, what's up, Craig? Raphael, how you guys doing? All right, I'm gonna grab screen and we'll get into it. I only have a handful of questions today, so we should be able to get through these fairly quickly. 1 second.
Good.
Oops. Zoom changed their interface again. It's driving me nuts. Stupid Zoom.
I refuse the update.
God, I hate Zoom. I do. I hate Zoom almost as much as I hate Facebook. All right. So, David, I saved this one from last week. This is a good question. I want to answer this. And this is really kind of it. I went into great detail last week about the 3 things that I found through a lot of trial and error over the last 2 years that is most effective for local SEO right now. And that is, if you nail those 3 things, it makes everything else easier. Well, there's really a 4th component to that I think this question is perfect for. And I don't remember if I really covered this thoroughly enough last week or not. So this would be a good addition to last week's training, which is this question, and I'll answer it. I have a general contractor with 4 different websites for 4 different service offerings: custom garages, ADUs, pavers, and fully custom homes. I'm considering recommending that he combine all of his service offerings into one site. He claims that Google Ads are more effective when pointed at these types of bespoke websites. While I feel it's simply about landing page URL, interested in your thoughts. Thanks. And I agree, David, for a couple of reasons. Number one, Google Ads is about the landing page, not the site. So if you send, at least from what I understand, and I'm not a Google Ads expert by any stretch of the imagination, but it's usually best practice for Google Ads is to send to a dedicated landing page for whatever the offer was that was claimed in the ad. Like, in other words, whatever the offer is stated in the ad, so that the ad headline and copy has a claim. like get an offer, whether it's to request an estimate or whatever it is. So that landing page speaks specifically to that ad, the copy of that ad and what it's promoting, whatever the conversion goal is or action or whatever. So that's just a landing page thing. It's not a site thing. And if from best practices from building landing pages for ads campaigns, it's my understanding from pretty much every training I've ever gone through about ads is that it should be a dedicated landing page, speaks specifically to that offer that was addressed in the ad or promoted in the ad. And it doesn't really have navigational elements. If it does, they're hard to see and that kind of stuff because you don't want to distract. You want them to complete the conversion goal that you sent them to the landing page for in the first place. And that's it. You don't want them doing other things. You don't want them leaving that page, getting distracted and not converting. So that's the whole point. And so I agree that should be kind of just a landing page thing. And by the way, I run ads for some clients. I don't have any measure of consistency for any of them. I don't know why. I can't get Google Ads to be consistent. But I always just create landing page and swipe pages. That's just what I use for my ads landing pages. And then we just create a subdomain or something on the client site or the client's domain, and then point that to swipe pages. And so we always just run separate landing pages for whatever services they want to promote. And it's done externally through another landing page builder, not on their main website. Okay, so I agree with you on that. Number two, I also agree that it's better to have one website because if it's the same business and they have 4 different sites, then they have 4 assets that they need to build links to and everything else. And that's 4 different assets that can cause problems for Google to understand who the business is, what they do, and where they do it, because they have multiple websites that promote different services. It's better to combine all of those into a logical manner into one site. So now you have one asset that Google can clearly tie to, or they can clearly make the connection. Google can clearly make the connection that site is for this brand, and the site displays the products or services. So who you are, what you do, and where you do it, right? So that, in my opinion, is a much better way because now you've got one target asset or one target website essentially to build links to. You can build a lot of authority to it that way. Because again, instead of having 4 different link building targets and trying to take the same marketing budget and spread it across 4 assets, you've got one asset now. So it becomes stronger faster, right? As long as it's done properly. And I spent a lot of time last week talking about proper page structure, site structure, and internal linking, and that is critical. And so for something like this, for this particular example question here, I would absolutely consolidate, and I would optimize for general contractor as the primary topic or category, because that is a Google business category, general contractor. And if we go search Google Wikipedia, general contractor is a general contractor, main contractor, prime contractor, builder in the UK or Australia, or contractor so general contractor and contractor are synonymous with each other in US and Asia as well. That is responsible for the day oversight of a construction site, management of vendors and trades, and the communication of information to all involved parties throughout the course of a building project. So that's precisely what a general contractor does. Usually general contractors manage subcontractors, right? So that's what they do. Or they might have separate crews that are actually employees of the company. So they're not subcontractors, they're employees, but they have different divisions. So a general contractor, I know I come from the construction industry, spent 20 years as an electrician. So I fully understand this industry. In general contractors, again, they usually have either separate crews for each one of those types of services, or they have subcontractors, which is what a lot of them do. And so a general contractor is by far, in my opinion, based upon this particular question, would be what I would optimize as the top level category, and therefore the top level topic term. And so you could have a general, like basically the homepage, and I covered this very thoroughly last week, so I'm not going to rehash that today. You guys can go back and watch the replay from last week. The homepage should be the brand page, in my opinion. Full stop. And that, you should always promote the brand first and foremost on the homepage. So the homepage should be the brand page, but then there can be a general contracting page, right? So a page specifically about general contracting services that then breaks out into that page. Really, it's just a navigational page that then links to each individual specific services that general contractor provides: custom garages, ADUs, pavers, and fully custom homes, right? So custom home builder. And so those can be their own top level categories. They don't have to be subcategories of general contractor. Does that make sense? They can be so essentially you would end up having now the custom garage topic or category on the site, one for ADUs, one for pavers or paving or whatever, and then one for custom built homes, custom home builder, however you decide to word that, if that's clear. And so now each one of those top level pages would then have, H2s that would support that top level category. So specific services within each business category. That's what the H2s are for, right? So you have the SEO title, which is the document title. You have the page title, which is the heading, or excuse me, H1 tag. Then you have the headings and subheadings and maybe subheadings. So that'd be H2s, H3s, H4s, etc. I usually don't, sometimes I use H4s, but mostly stop at H3s. That's the proper page structure, but then the site structure matters, and internal linking, how you connect all of that through internal linking matters. Okay, so I covered a lot of that last week. So again, I'm not going to cover that again, but specifically with this, I would do a general contracting page that then is mainly a navigational page. It shouldn't be part of the silo for the subsequent pages or the other top level categories like custom garages. I would do general contracting / custom garages. I would just make general contracting a navigational page because, and by the way, what I would do with that is I would make that general contracting page the location landing page for the Google Business Profile. So this is that fourth component that I was just mentioning a moment ago, and I can't remember without going back and watching the replay myself. I can't remember whether I covered this last week or not, which is first understand how you want to structure the site so that it's logical and it makes sense. So in this particular example, I'm talking about have the homepage as the homepage, the brand page. Don't make that the location landing page, meaning don't link to that directly from the GBP if it's a single location business. Instead, I would use the general contracting page, which is a navigational page, because now here's why. That general contracting page can provide agreement, so it corroborates how the GBP would be optimized with general contractor as the primary category. And these other ones, garage builder or whatever, maybe it's garage contractor. We can probably find it here. In fact, let's just do a quick search for something like that. See what we find. There's only 3. It's garage builder. That would be the top level category page. Do you understand? So you have general contractor, but make that the primary Google business category, because general contractor can manage, or all those other categories can be essentially served by that general contracting overall top level category. Or say, so the GBP can only be optimized for one primary category. Make that the broadest, most general category that is relevant to all of the other service categories, right? So general contract is perfect for that. So that should be the location landing page, not the home page, right? Because now you optimize for brand, general contractor, city, state, where the Google Business Profile is located. And if it's a general contractor, they probably have, or as it is, they probably have a large service area. Most of them do. And so you optimize the homepage for brand, who you are, what you do. So you could put in that garages, ADUs, paving, and whatever the other one was, custom homes, right? You could put that all in the SEO title of the homepage and in the broadest region, whatever that region is. So I don't know where they're at, but if they have a service area that includes multiple locations, or I don't mean multiple Google business locations, but meaning they are targeting multiple locations to generate leads from, then you want to identify what is the broadest regional area for that specific, or for their service area, and what is the entity name for that specific named entity for a region. So sometimes that's a county, sometimes it's a region. So figure that out. Go to Wikipedia, search it, find it. Go to Google and search, and then find the Wikipedia, and you can figure out what the broadest region is. And so you optimize the homepage for that. Then you would optimize the general contracting page for who you are, brand name, what you do, top level categories, so general contractor, where you do it, specific city and state. Because now that location landing page is linking to a page that is optimized, that corroborates how the GBP is optimized. And this is that fourth component. And that is that landing page should be optimized for the intent of the search or the visitor, right? Which is usually when somebody comes from Google Maps, it's a local search query, right? Local intent. They've found a potential provider. They've either engaged through the Maps profile or the knowledge panel, whichever, and they click through, and then they click the website URL. That should take them to the page that, if it's a storefront business, provides directions or address, like where the location is. contact lead capture, right? Or contact mechanism. In other words, if somebody comes from Maps and they click the website URL from Google Maps, they are looking for information about where to go if it's a storefront, or how to contact the company, or to request that the company contact them. And maybe they want to also find out more about the products or services that that company provides. But that location landing page doesn't need to be a brain dump or just a diarrhea of the mouth, as I like to say, of 3,000 words of content trying to explain all the products and services and everything else. That page could be literally optimized for lead cap, who you are, what you do, where you do it, lead capture, that's the conversion goal, and navigational elements that point to the appropriate parts of the page. That's that internal linking. So remember, I said page structure, site structure, internal linking. And the fourth component for a local project then is to tie the location landing page into that, to optimize the location landing page the same way that the Google Business Profile is optimized, and make it very logical and easy, optimized for intent for the visitor, which is, where is this business located? How do I contact them or have them contact me? And if I want to find out more information about the products and services that they provide, can I get to can I do that? Can it provide me with more information? And so that page could be literally not a lot of content, but just lead capture, location information, if that's relevant, and then navigational elements to each one of those other parts of the site. And here's the thing. If they have those multiple categories, they want to link to put H2s for each one of those supporting categories. That was a bug. I'm not going crazy. You want to have an H2 for each of those additional categories on that page. And then they want to have a link that goes from, that links to each one of those category pages, service category pages on the site. So the top level service category page. Now that location landing page is providing 100% corroboration or agreement, as Ted Kubaitis said. Again, I liked his term. This is a little bit simpler, but it provides 100% agreement with how the GBP is optimized. It's very clear now to Google and to the Google user, the visitor, what the page is for. Instead of, again, guys, don't get me wrong, and I did get the bug. It's on my hands. I've been guilty of this too. It's only recently that I've discovered this. And then again, it's just through a lot of testing, guys, that I've done this, a lot of trial and error. So why I encourage you guys, don't believe me, just go test it. Okay. But location landing pages, I used to do a ton of content on those pages too, because again, 2 years ago, that's what we did and it worked. But now that we don't need to do that anymore. If you get page structure, site structure, internal linking, and when it's a local project, you include the Google Business, the location landing page, which is optimized properly, then it can be literally a navigational page that should satisfy the intent of the visitor. Who you are, what you do, and where you do it, or maybe what you're located, like how to find you, like where is the location, lead capture information, or a way for them to contact the business, and then navigational elements to where they can click to find more information about the specific products and services that the company provides, preferably through the category structure that the Google Business category structure that has already been identified in the GBP, right? Because now, if you guys think about it, the location landing page is now optimized 100%, exactly the way Google Business Profile is optimized. The Google Business categories as additional categories are referenced as H2s, signifying their importance. And then there's internal links that directs the visitor to each one of those pages. And that forces Google, like we help to assert the associations between that location landing page and the Google Business categories, thereby the products and services that that particular business provides or offers, right? It's so logical. It makes sense to me that why it works. I don't understand why it took so long to get to this for me. Like, no kidding. It took 2 years of me testing for me to finally understand why this is working so well. And it's because we make, guys, again, we understand that Google doesn't read content really. It caches the pages, yes, but it doesn't really read the content. And Google servers are way overloaded right now. They're overwhelmed. Google's been public about that. That's why they've throttled crawl budget and crawl cycle timing and everything and that's why it takes so long to get stuff indexed. Everything. Google's servers are overloaded. They're public about that. So if we can make it very logical and easy for Google to understand who the business is, what they do, and where they do it, and we can do that very easily through page structure, site structure, internal linking, and if it's a Google Business Profile, certainly you want to optimize the location landing page to provide agreement with how or corroborate how the local business, the GBP is optimized. And if you do hit the major points, and always do this because it's like pulling the biggest levers that have the most leverage, right? So the things that have the most leverage to produce effect with the least amount of effort. And that's why I focus on page structure, site structure, and internal linking, because with that, you need significantly less content in order to achieve results. Does that make sense? And then also with proper structure, it requires significantly less links or off-page signals, which includes links, to get results. And so again, everything is more efficient when you do it this way. And so it takes some time to figure out the perfect structure and configuration for your particular industry. It will take a little bit of trial and error. I can give you the framework, which I've been doing as many times as every time I get on a webinar, I'm basically talking about the same stuff because I keep trying to hammer this home, and I hope that this breaks through to some people and they figure out for their own specific industries. Again, I can give examples and frameworks, but every one of them is going to require some trial and error, some testing of different configurations within that framework to figure out what performs the best. But once you figure that out, you can scale like crazy because now you just duplicate that over and over and over again instead of reinventing the wheel. Instead of going out and researching a whole new industry, all new keywords, start playing around with site structure again and everything else, just get good at one and do it over and over and over again. And that's how you start generating a shit ton more revenue. And guys, I'm telling you, when you get it right with these tree service sites, I'm crushing it right now. And it's because it through a lot of trial and error, I found the winning recipe. And I know I talk about that a lot, but it's really working very well. And it can be modified to various other circumstances, situations like this one here. And I truly believe, I'm not in this industry, but I can almost promise, virtually guarantee that if you did that for your client site, it's not going to happen overnight, but it will start to perform a lot better because now you start consolidating. By the way, I would take each one of those individual websites and make sure that you redirect any of the relevant pages to the relevant pages on the new site. It's structured better and everything else, because that way you capture any off-page work that was done, if any, to those 4 different websites, and it would eventually, it flows through to the main site. So I expect it would perform significantly better. And again, guys, it's really just about, if you do it right, like I said, it requires a hell of a lot less work, less content, less links, so less investment, less resources to achieve results, and it tends to respond quicker too. And clients are impatient, so are SEOs. So I would encourage you, just like, again, play around with it. Do you think it would work? Do I think it would work? Yeah, and that's how I would do it. If I had a general contractor client, that's how I would recommend doing it. So the homepage optimized for brand, you could reference all of the different top level services or whatever on that. And then the broadest region, then the location landing page will be brand specific primary, the top level primary Google business category. And in this specific city and state, that's a navigational page that then allows them to go to lead capture first and foremost, but then also allows them to click through to each one of the top levels category pages, the additional categories, where they can find out more information about the specific services available to that category, that service category, right? And again, that would be so that's now down to the page structure level, H2s for each of the services, and then internal links, and an internal link from those service pages to the location landing page, the general contractor page. Does that make sense? So it's a reciprocal link. You're asserting associations between services and location, and it's done through site structure and internal linking. And I talked about this last week too, but semantic triplets, right? That's why I do all of my top level pages. Blog posts are different. You can have conversational titles plus brand. That's what I do for blog posts. That should be supporting content. Supporting content is different. But for top level pages, so product or service category pages and top level location pages, so like location landing pages, right? I talk about the semantic triplets. So who you are, what you do, and where you do it. The order of those elements can be transposed or rearranged. It doesn't matter. You want to hit those 3 points. Who you are, what you do, where you do it. I don't care what order they're in. So like for organic pages, we will swap it sometimes and have what we do, where we do it, and who we are. And that's fine. The point is you're hitting those 3 points. It's short, it's succinct, it's easy for Google's document retrieval algorithm to understand. And again, you start to assert relationships or associations between entities through internal linking. And it's just very, very powerful method, guys. It just simplified the process of building sites, in my opinion. It really has. Because, 2 years ago, where I would have had 25 pages for 5 services in 5 cities, and I would have had 1,500 to 2,000 words on every single one of those pages. Like the amount of effort that goes into producing all that content and all those pages and now all those link targets and all that, it's just ridiculous. It's just stupid. And we all did it. I did it. I'm not questioning. We did it because it worked. But I'm saying now that's not the best way to do it. It's not the best way to work for local sites, especially service area business sites. This can be modified to storefront businesses, but I don't work in the storefront business with storefront businesses, so I don't have any exact data for that. I assume it would be as effective, but it would have to be modified slightly. The point is now I'll have 5 services, 5 locations. Okay, we got basically 10 pages. Okay, with significantly less content. The service pages will be rich with content that's very thorough about that specific service. But the location page is really a navigational page. It's to satisfy the intent of the user, which the visitor, which is here's how to contact us or request that we contact you. Here's what we do. Here's where we do it. And if you need additional information about what we do, here's where you can click to take you to that specific service pages. That's it. Much simpler site build, guys. Less content, less link targets, all of that. If you do that right, the site will perform a lot better, and so will the map, especially when that 4th component, which is optimizing the location landing page to provide agreement with how the GBP is optimized. And again, thank you, Ted, for that term. So anyway, I think that's a great question. That's why I wanted to add it again, or excuse me, that's why I saved it last week for us to talk about this week. So anyway, hopefully that's clear. Moving on. Next is Danny. How does the website builder affect SEO? Does it matter much or no? Yeah, it does, but because if the website, bloated code and everything else can slow down page load times and all that. But I used to think that high level sites, and they've gotten better for sure. And that's probably why I prefer high level over WordPress now any day of the week for websites. Not a joke, because high level doesn't require hosting. It also doesn't require updates, WordPress updates, which how many of you guys are tired of WordPress updates? I mean, probably an easy to get less response. How many of you are not tired of it? Right? Get 0 response from that, right? It's just awful. I hate WordPress anymore. I really do. It's just ridiculous. And it gets hacked all the time. I'm just tired of it. So I prefer high level, and high level has a lot of bloated code, but high level's gotten a lot better about they've actually gotten better recently. Their page load times have improved. I don't know what they did, but their like their DNS mapping for mapping to theirs has, like, in just the last few weeks has been updated, and so now their pages definitely load faster and everything else. So I think high level site builders are actually really good. And by the way, that's infinitely scalable, guys. Do you realize all you need is a $97 a month high level starter account, and you can build unlimited websites with it, with no hosting? I mean, I guess you're paying 97, but not in addition to hosting websites, you get all the other functionality of the high level account for $97, and you can add as many websites as you want, host as many websites as you want. No updates, no hosting, no configuring all that shit. Just build the damn sites. And once you get the site structure right in whatever your chosen industry is, because you all should be in one industry, pick one. Now you can duplicate that over and over and over again. And guys, you just simplify your business so much, right? So spend your time figuring out what works best in an industry, and then build the site, trial and error it until you figure out what the best configuration is, and then duplicate the shit out of that over and over and over again. There's your foundation. That's how you build your business on something that's scalable, where you don't have to work yourself to death for every new project. How many of you do that, right? I'm guilty of doing that previously too. Okay, not above any of this. I've just learned through a lot of experience, and so I just want to be clear. So back to the site building stuff that it does make a difference, but I feel like most of them are getting better. I mean, certainly there's so many of them out there. I can't speak on all of them, but as long as you can optimize, in my opinion, the elements of the page now, which is very, very important, because again, page structure trumps content any day of the week, in my opinion, from my testing and local SEO. And by the way, the caveat I should always disclaim at the beginning, is I'm talking about local SEO. It's probably different for national and e-com and blogs and all that shit. I don't work in those industries. I work in local SEO. And for local SEO, page structure trumps content any day of the week. So as long as you get the structural elements of the page proper, and then that's step one. Step two is you build the site overall site structure properly. And then step 3 is internal linking between the pages to associate or assert relationships or associations between products and services and locations. Then it doesn't really matter. Right now, again, my preferred site builder is high level because of all the reasons I just mentioned. Infinitely scalable, no updates. It took me a long time to get the template. It took me literally 2 weeks. I'm not joking. It was very tedious, but the site template that I use in high level, it had to go every single element of all the pages and manually edit every one of them to get the page structure right. And it took literally 70 hours. That is not a joke. I know. How could you spend 70 hours? I did. It was very tedious and I hated it, but it was worth it because now I just duplicate those sites over and over and over again, and they perform very, very well. Some need more off page than others, guys. That's not a question. There's no question about that. But they all respond a lot better now. So they need less two links and off page. So they need less links. It's reduced reduced my fulfillment costs essentially in order to be able to achieve results for my clients, which means my margins increased again, which is good because they had decreased for a while based on ineffective links. So not my links, by the way. By the way, just real quick, this is I've been doing some testing with some Mike Martin has a really, really, really cool concept called brand jacking, which I can't believe I hadn't thought about this, but kudos to Mike Martin. Mike's a good dude, and I always liked Mike, and he's done some training recently. I'm sure some of you have probably seen his webinar or seen his, and so shout out to Mike for this. No affiliate link here or nothing, guys, but Mike Martin's brand jacker stuff. I started testing with that. And so I built a site a few weeks ago for this one, which is brand jacking, brand names, tree service contractors in Louisville. And I built this site with no links at all. It was already had some, page 1, actually top rankings. But then I built 2 links on the 14th of April. I built 2 geographic links. So links with geographic relevance for Louisville. And you can see that was on the 14th of April. And I haven't done anything else. And in fact, if we go take a look at the backlink profile, because I was looking at it right before we got on the call today, or the Hump Day Hangout, Derby City Tree, it has a total of backlinks from 5 referring domains, but 3 of those are those scraper sites that are just those domain list sites. So that those backlinks have absolutely no value. So the only 2 backlinks that were built were 2 backlinks from what I call geographic blogs. So these are blogs that have geographic relevance because they have backlink profiles pointing to them from other local sources. And so we build geographic blogs because that helps to promote rankings for local search, both in organic and maps. It's more of a maps play, but I'm doing some testing with geographic links for pushing or promoting organic ranking because they're still geographically relevant. And so you guys can see that we've only got 2 links there. They were both placed on April 14th. Okay. And I submitted them to Majestic on that date so that Majestic would pick up on them. You can see that they're not topically relevant. They're not strong links. They have very low trust flow values, means they're not strong, but they did produce a result. Right? We can see that. The 14th of April, I placed those links. We just let it sit. Google find them, and it started to push things up. So now we've got multiple page 1 rankings, guys. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but like let's just look at this guy. If we actually copy that and go look at this. We're outranking the company's pops a knowledge panel, but we're outranking their money site with my directory, my brand jacking directory. Again, Mike Martin's training, guys. But what this is underneath this page, which I have a tree contractor that I sell links or sell leads to in Louisville. Which is why I have a lot of test sites out here for that, because I was doing a lot of testing. Because whenever I'm going to build lead gen sites for testing purposes, I certainly want to do it in an area where I've got a lead buyer, so I can monetize those leads when they start, if the site starts to perform well. And so here's an example. This is Newburgh is a suburb of Louisville. And I've got multiple examples of those test sites. There's Grim Reaper Tree Services. That's a WordPress site. Here's Felling.pro, which was a high-level site, but this is one that the elements were not optimized properly. So that the technical SEO, like the page structure of these sites, this site here is horrid because it's got multiple H1s, non-relevant H tags all over because the H tags were used as styling. Do not model this for structure. This is a great example of poor page structure, although it's still performing well. But anyways, and then underneath the maps pack, there's Google site, which is part of the what I call the content mirroring method. Then there's another page from Felling Pro, and then there is the ID page. And then there's a YouTube video, which is part of the content mirroring method. Then there's another page from Grim Reaper Tree Services, which is the WordPress site. So anyways, all of that is to say, underneath this page here is actually just a directory listing page that talks about Excel tree service. It has a paragraph of like 2 paragraphs of description, business description, name, address, phone number, etc. And then this is an overlay. And so again, coming back here, I just think this is a really interesting concept, and I just started playing with it, and I wanted to give these sites a couple of weeks to see how they perform. I have some ideas on how to make these sites better and to perform better, like get rid of having the street address and the SEO title, etc. So in the mastermind, I'm taking Mike's training and expanding upon that. And by the way, again, shout out to Mike Martin. I'm not trying to steal his training or nothing else. I'm giving him credit. I think it's a brilliant concept. And so anyways, you can see that, guys, this performs. And here's why. Somebody asked me in our mastermind, like, well, how can you outrank their money site with a brand new domain with no backlinks? And it's because, guys, most SEOs, like I do a ton of audits and consulting with a lot of local agencies now. I'm doing a lot of consulting recently, and it's crazy how many people do not optimize, or local businesses do not optimize their homepage for their brand. They optimize for keywords. I'm not kidding. I see a lot of homepage URLs for audits that I do that don't even mention the brand name in the SEO title. What the hell are people thinking, right? And so obviously, if you're not optimizing the homepage for the brand, then it's going to be easy for somebody to come along and outrank for a brand search, because all you got to do is stuff the page with the brand name and in the primary leverage points, right? That's what I talk about page structure. You don't need content. You just need to have the brand name repeated in multiple places, SEO title, H1, H2. You do that. Now you've got a page that has optimized with high density for the brand name. Well, keyword density, guys, still matters for ranking pages, right? That is something that you can do and not only that, it's not so much the keyword density. Maybe it is. I haven't done a lot of specific testing on that, but the page structure. And if your page on your directory site is optimized for the brand name in those high leverage points, so the biggest optimization points of the page itself, what I call structure, then and the money site for the brand itself, for the company, does not, and it's not optimized well at all for their brand, then it makes sense why we can outrank them. So guys, again, that's why I keep going back to what I talk about with optimizing the homepage for the brand. That should be first and foremost. Full stop. That way you prevent this kind of stuff from other assholes like me going out there and jacking your client's traffic. Now, again, this was done with no backlinks too. I placed 2 links 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to see how it responded. I'll probably give it another few days, and then next week sometime I'll come back in and I'll probably place another couple of links, probably topical links next time. See how much of a jump I can get out of that. And again, by the way, the limitation that I see, and this is not a slide against Mike or anything else, the Google scraper that it's Keith Best's scraper, I think. It's formatted to where the exported file perfectly it's all formatted, the CSV file with the contacts. There's a limitation to that. It only pulls out those with published street addresses. So that in the service area business like tree service contractors, that eliminates a lot of potential brands that I would pull into this directory site because it doesn't include those without published street addresses. So I think that's a little bit of a limitation. I can get richer data, more contacts, more companies through an outscraper scrape. But then I'd have to go in and edit the magic page and all the short codes to be appropriate for the output file, or the CSV file outputted from outscraper would have to be, the column headers would have to be edited to match up the short codes in the magic page template. And that's fine. I just haven't had the time to do it. I wanted to see how these perform the way that they did. But I can get more tree contractors in if I use a different data scraper. And again, it's not a slide against Mike or Keith or anything like that. I'm just saying I've already taken his concept and started to put my own flavor on it. But I will always give my credit for the idea. And I want to be clear about that, guys. I don't steal other people's ideas. If I'm going to mention it, I'm going to certainly give them credit. But what I'm thinking is this could be improved upon. Some testing I want to do is like the SEO titles currently have the address in that, and that's not normal. And what I found is that you can usually get really good results with new document titles, SEO titles for new pages that are unique, that you can usually get really good results for that, but then fairly quickly they'll drop significantly because it's optimized for a term that doesn't get really any kind of search interest or whatever. So what I'm saying is I think it would be better just to target the company name, city, state, instead of the full address, especially for service area businesses that don't typically publish their address, if that makes sense. So I got some more testing to do with this type of a concept, but I think it's a great strategy. Just to be clear, and I just wanted to point that out because I was thinking about that earlier. I was looking at it today, and I thought that this was cool to see that kind of movement. Guys, by the way, it's normal to see when you place links where you just see an initial jump, then a dip, and then it goes back and it kind of rises up beyond that initial jump. And that's what I see a lot with link building. So this was, again, just 2 geographic links placed on the 14th. And you can see it has started to produce a result now. It looks like it's trending up anyways. We'll find out. Give it a couple more, another week or two. But I think it's a brilliant strategy. Anyway, moving on. So just to kind of wrap this one up, put a bow on it. Does the website builder affect SEO? Yeah, but I think they're all getting so much better that it's, as long as you can optimize the structural elements of the page, I think you're fine. Seriously, I do. Go if you're reviewing a potential site builder, if you can get an example or demo site and then run it through like page speed insights and see what are the speed ratings, all that. As long as it's decent, I'd say just run with it, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay. Anything's better than WordPress, in my opinion, just because of all the hassles with WordPress, to be clear. Raphael said in the last Hangout, I see you're using subdomains instead of subdirectories on felling.pro. For example, countyname.felling.pro. Aren't subdirectories stronger? Yes, but I want individual lead gen sites to be treated as individual sites, not as part of a larger site. And by the way, subdirectories are supposedly stronger for SEO purposes, but through my own testing, and I've got a number of sites that we do have multi-locations that are all built on as not subdirectories, because in my opinion, a subdirectory means it's another site installation, but it's just as it's in a folder of the root domain, right? So, but what I'm saying is I have a number of multi-location lead gen assets out there that were built on one domain. So I have location pages and silos, location silos for each area. And then we built all of it in there. And that does not perform nearly as well as subdomain sites that are optimized for the specific area and region, or for the specific service area that particular business or lead gen site is supposed to serve. That performs way better. Guys, I've done a lot of testing. Like I said, for a year and a half, 2 years, I've tested with about here. And out of all of them, by far, the ones that I've been promoting recently perform the best. And that configuration specifically is optimizing the homepage for a particular county, and then the location pages or locations within that county, contained within that county. I've got a couple of other tests out, but they're slow in progress, number one. And number two, I don't have enough data to be able to talk about whether they're going to perform as well or not. But another one would be a city. Like the homepage is optimized for the city that the Google Business Profile would be located in if you have one. And then the supporting location pages are only immediately adjacent cities. So I got a test out with that. And then another one is a broader type of geographic site, which is the homepage is optimized for the named region. So the entity for the region. And then the location pages are optimized for major cities within that region. That doesn't perform initially as well, and I'm assuming that one's going to require a lot more off page, but I'm curious as to how that'll perform over time. So I've got that one set up too. But so far right now for service area businesses, if you can optimize the homepage for one county, and then all of the location pages are the locations that have pages that are significant enough to have their own zip code is what I use. And then I put those pages have to be within that county. And then it's very logical, the site structure. And I'd rather have multiple, each county or service area that I'm targeting have its own standalone site on a subdomain, because over time, by the way, you build authority to the root domain through all those subdomains and any off-page work you're doing. So over time, you still benefit with subsequent locations. When you build a new subdomain site to target a new service area, it will instantly inherit authority and relevance from the root domain. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to reach kind of a critical mass, a tipping point at some point. And that's going to vary depending on your industry, competition levels, all that kind of stuff. But eventually you get to a point where the root domain is strong enough that when you deploy new subdomain sites, it ranks significantly faster with less work because it's inheriting authority from the root domain. That's clear. So now my directory site, though, I keep that all on one domain, and we're going to keep it that way. But I only use the directory guys specifically for initiating conversations with business owners in my industry. That's it. Okay, next, do you teach rank and rent in your mastermind? Yeah, well, yes. I mean, it's a component of what we teach, which is the hybrid agency model, which is a combination of lead gen and retainer-based services. It's a hybrid of the two, hence the name. And so, yes, rank and rent is part of that. That's one part of the overall program that I teach. So yes, absolutely. Nigel said, Bradley, how's things, guys? With embedding the money site page on your branded Gsite, have you seen cannibalization recently? I've seen it occasionally, but usually that means that you just need to build more authority and strength to the main money site. If it is cannibalizing it currently until you build enough authority to the money site to where it won't do that, then you can just remove the embed and just make it a hyperlink to the corresponding money site page instead. And that will prevent cannibalization. That makes sense. I was just showing this earlier, guys. This is an example of that, right? Tree service Newberg. Again, we have the content mirroring, which this is the first asset for that. That's this. And it's interesting. The reason why this page ranks for tree service Newberg, even though it's the Okolona page, is this right here. That right there. This goes to show you guys internal links. The anchor text for internal linking is weighted incredibly heavy by Google. You guys see the search query, right? Tree service Newberg KY, but look at the page that's ranking from the Google site. It's the Okolona page. The SEO title is optimized for Okolona, which is one of the other locations in that service area. Why is this ranking for tree service Newberg, Kentucky? That's why. I just learned this, right, from this project, which is about 2 years old now. And then when I was at the SEO spring training event, Dory Friend did a whole presentation on internal links, and she confirmed what I had suspected from experiencing it from this test project, which is internal links are far superior to external links. They're weighted significantly more than external links. And so this right here proves to me, now this is only one example, but this proves to me that internal links are critically important, and Google places a lot of weight on them because this page, which is optimized entirely for Okolona, it only mentions Newberg in this link, which is an internal link to another page on this site. And yet that's the page that ranks for that search query. So it goes to show you guys, again, why I talk about page structure, site structure, internal linking. Because if you get that right, I'm telling you, it makes everything so much easier. And there's examples of that I'm seeing from doing a lot of audits and stuff. It's just really interesting things that I'm seeing. So Google is placing a ton of weight on internal links. And so the anchor text matters for that. Okay. So yeah, so to answer your question, to come back here, you can see that I have assets ranking too that aren't actually cannibalizing the pages. So usually if you have a money site embedded into a Gsite and the Gsite cannibalizes, meaning the Gsite will rank and the money site disappears from the search results for the search query that the money site page was optimized for, then it usually means that you need to build more strength and authority to the root domain. And so if that's the case, then just remove the embed and instead replace it with a standard hypertext link. And then that will eliminate the cannibalization. And then you can build authority to the money site and eventually bring it back into the content mirror if you want. And then again, the content mirror is, if you guys don't understand, this is a container. The content mirroring method is about building containers like Russian dolls, where the money site is at the center. And then you wrap around the money site with additional assets by just building pages that are iframing the original pages into it. So you're creating a container that now contains the money site through embeds or iframes. Then you build another container that embeds that, and then another container and another container. And all of those become link building targets where you could be a hell of a lot more aggressive with link building to these assets than you would ever want to be to your money site. And it flows through those structures all the way down to the money site. And if you have your internal linking done properly, it's going to flow throughout all the pages. So one target URL, then you build links to that and it flows through the entire site, through that whole Russian doll structure, the content mirror structure, all the way down to the money site. And because your internal linking is done properly, if done properly, then it's going to flow through the entire site too, instead of just into that specific page. That's clear. So it's very, very powerful because now you've got multiple layers that are all high authority properties that you can build links to, that you're going to, the relevancy is going to flow through those assets down to the money site. So your money site benefits from it, but you're not building direct links, if that's clear. It's a very powerful strategy. Again, we've got SOPs for this. So in the mastermind. Okay, we're done with questions. We got 5 more minutes. I'll look at comments and we'll wrap it up. Oh, there's only a couple of comments. You guys aren't very chatty today. What's the matter? Let's see. Ladybug. Let's see. Craig says, with GHL, do you buy domains and point to subdomain from the hosting site? No. You just do it from, you can do it from the registrar or Cloudflare or whatever. It's just DNS, whatever DNS service you're using. If you want to do that from your registrar, you do it there. You want to use Cloudflare, which is what I'd use, then just use Cloudflare. All you're doing is mapping. I don't even think they give you an A record anymore. I think it's just a C name. So you're just mapping your domain to it. Carmen says, or Wayne, hey, what's up, Wayne? Long time, man. Bradley, would your group you are recruiting for work for agency wanting to specialize in AI ChatGPT for small business? For work for agency, specialize. Yes, Wayne, if you're reach out to me privately, Wayne. Cecilia actually is working on training some models for us for the DHA program. She's actually been working on that with tree service stuff with me and Harry at treecarehq for the last several months. That's not a slight against you, Cecilia. I appreciate your work, and I'm not pushing you because we're not really ready for that yet anyway. You know it. Anyway, yes, we're working on that. And so, Wayne, if you've got something, please reach out to me privately. I'd love to have a chat with you. We'll schedule a Zoom call. You can fill me in on it. And if it makes sense, we'll get Cecilia involved too and have a chat about it. I'm happy to hear what you have to say for sure. I'd love to hear about it. Yeah, by the way, I think there's so much opportunity with that. I really do. I just got to figure out how to make it work for contractors and stuff. And then once we do, we're going to try to scale with that too. So, and that's what Cecilia's doing. I don't have the bandwidth to do it. So I recruited her and she's doing it. Thank you, Cecilia. Carmen says, I'm familiar with the lead gen site structure, but do you see any reason why it would be bad to build a national home service brand, but create separate websites for each hub city or county, etc.? No, except for the management nightmare that could create. Especially if it's WordPress, right? Because if it's WordPress, you're going to have dozens and dozens of sites to optimize, or excuse me, to update and everything. And I know that you do, main WP and all that stuff, but it's still a pain in the ass. I don't see anything wrong with that as long as you're connecting the overall top level, so root domain site, domain site to the subdomains properly, which can be all done through navigational elements for sure, and then vice versa. So like, for example, with felling.pro, which is the domain we're using for treecarehq for lead gen assets now. I made the mistakes, and I said this in our mastermind of starting to build lead gen assets on a subdomain of the main directory site. And that caused problems. It didn't occur initially, but over time, it started to ambiguate the theme of the brand. If the brand is supposed to be a directory site, and then all of a sudden we started building lead gen assets on a subdomain of the directory and calling those tree services instead of a directory, it started to cause Google to ambiguate like the theme of we were polluting the entity, I guess, entity pollution, I guess that's the proper term for it. And so I kind of regret that now that I started, but so instead I switched to using the felling.pro domain because it's cherry. Felling means tree removal. That's the entity for tree removal. And in .pro. So felling.pro means tree removal pro. So I think it's a great domain. And so we're building our lead gen assets on that now as subdomains, but I have not optimized the root domain yet. I still had some test structures out there that have current pages that are generating leads, especially in Westchester, Pennsylvania. So anyway, long story short, I'm going to go change that site and move those other Felling Pro locations to subdomain sites with the structure that I've been teaching about recently when I have the bandwidth, which I don't right now. And then we're going to change the homepage of the Felling Pro, the root domain, into just basically a navigational page. It'll be about the brand. And then there might be a separate page where it says our service areas. And then that will be the page that is just a navigational page that it's just clickable elements down to each individual subdomain site for each whatever area they want to visit. If that's clear. So the root domain is literally going to be a brand and navigational element, and that's it. And then all the subdomain sites are the lead generation sites. Those are the sites that we want to rank locally. That's clear. Does that make sense? I like that model. And with high level sites, there's no maintenance, especially because we're not doing blogs or anything for our clients. Tree guys don't even get an option anymore. You want to work with us if you need a website or your website is junk, which most of them are. This is what you get. They don't even get a choice. If they want pretty, they can go elsewhere. They want performance. This is what you get. And I don't even give them the option anymore. Most tree guys don't care. So they just want work. Right. So hopefully that's clear. With the high level sites, it's super easy because we just use the same template over and over and over. Period. Super easy. You still like the subdomain for location versus silo URL structures? Yes, because again, I have found through my own testing, through both configurations, that I can get better results with a site that is optimized, a subdomain site, so that the entire site is optimized for a very specific service area region. That's it. And that performs way better. And that may change, but right now that is what's performing best. And that's why I hated that, because guys, I put a lot of time in developing a structure that was all on one domain with location silos, etc. And I really wanted that one. I'd hoped that would be the best performer. And for a while it was performing very well. But then after the helpful content update and some of the more recent Google updates since the end of last year, it doesn't perform nearly as well as these standalone sites. And part of that is because we can nail the structure so much better. The overall site structure in those smaller sites, way better than doing it on a very complex scale when you've got dozens and dozens of states and dozens of, and a multiple of dozens of cities, right? So that just becomes a lot harder to manage that structure over time. And so I think it's more logical. It makes it easier for Google to understand who you are, what you do, and where you do it when you focus all of that into one very specific site for one specific service area region. That's clear. And that, in my opinion, is why it performs better, because it's easier for Google to understand that site, who you are, what you do, and where you do it, because of the way that it's optimized through the structure and internal linking. No, my subdomains are on high-level sites. I've talked about that 10 times today, Carmen. I don't use WordPress sites anymore if I don't have to. There's subdomains on high level. So there's no hosting, there's no WordPress updates, there's nothing. All we do is deploy the site and it's done. Like, don't ever have to touch it again, right? Makes it super easy to scale. That's what I'm trying to get away from, guys, is adding complexity to the business. Make it easy, right? If you all just found one industry and got really good at delivering results to that one industry, and then you could just duplicate it over and over and over again, you would all simplify your businesses. You would start making more money. You'd get better results. You'd find it easier to sell your services, everything. And I'm trying to get away from doing all the hard ass SEO work for very difficult projects. I don't even want to take on a difficult project if I can get away with just selling more easy projects. So it's all in how you target, what your offer is, etc. I'm joining the mastermind. I'm teaching a lot about that there. Okay, guys, I appreciate you all. We're a little bit over, but very close. See you guys tomorrow. We have a Build with Bradley meeting tomorrow. It's 2 hours earlier than normal time. So any of you that are in the mastermind, just be aware. I did post it in the group. I updated the calendar or the Zoom event and everything else, but it's at noon tomorrow instead of 2 p.m.